Dyan Cannon will probably be remembered forever by millions of people as the girl who married Cary Grant and gave him his one and only child. Well, they've long since divorced, but that simple act of matrimony has been as much a curse as a blessing for her. It instantly labeled her and forever detracted from her abilities as a woman and an actress. Now, for many women, it would have destroyed their career, but Dyan Cannon, born Samille Diane Friesen, is a tough, determined lady, and as you'll see in my interview, quite articulate. She's in the movie Honeysuckle Rose with country western star Willie Nelson, who, by the way, bought a full-blown 18-hole country club outside Austin, Texas for his home. There's a lot of Willie Nelson singing in this movie, and if you don't care for that, you better stay away. But it's a fair story of love and marriage and a well-done film. But back to Dyan Cannon. Listen to her story of her beginning in Hollywood. It's fascinating. I have heard you express many times on various talk shows that you resent the fact that people are surprised that you are not dumb.
Well, maybe I can ruin that reputation.
Yeah, well,
maybe
no,
I can add something.
No, I think you have. I saw you on the Carson show one night, absolutely outraged that the documentary you made of a movie about children, that people say, hey, that wasn't bad, Dyan, like, what, you know, like they just were incredible experience. What is that syndrome in this country?
I don't know.
That connects looks with intelligence.
It does, doesn't it? And
yeah,
we all fall prey to it. Do you know I did it myself? I was signed to direct a film at Fox, and I was interviewing writers, and this beautiful blonde girl walked into my house, and my first thought was, wait a minute, why are they sending me this beautiful lady? I thought, Dyan, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You're doing, because we all fall prey to it. We just expect a good-looking person to just be good-looking and nothing besides. But, of course, that's not true, is it?
Well, I guess in your business, though, you were hired because of your looks, not your intelligence in the very first instance. Is that true?
I suppose it was.
Well,
you know, and it was so crazy because they hired me because of the way I looked, and then they brought me in and changed the color of my hair and changed the shape of my eyebrows and did me in a made-up way that I'd never been accustomed to before,
really?
So it's crazy.
Did you always want to be an actress when you were a little girl?
From the time I was a little girl.
So tell us how that happened. How did you get the first chance?
Well, I forgot about it, actually.
Yeah.
I went to the University of Washington and I took a course in history of the theater, and it was so dull, and all the kids in the drama department wore sandals and long hair and didn't belong, and I was much too interested in belonging at the time. So I switched to an anthropology major, but actually I was discovered while I was sitting in a restaurant called For Scotty's. And
now wait a minute. Now this
truly,
is true?
This is a true story.
It wasn't set up by...
No, that was the original time, but I mean that had nothing to do with my career.
Yeah.
A man came up to me and asked me if I was an actress. I said yes. I was having lunch with 5 or 6 girlfriends.
This was where?
For Scotty's restaurant.
In...
Don't rush there, girls, because the restaurant isn't there anymore.
But
It's all gone.
Where is this now?
It's on Sunset. And,
it's in Los Angeles. Okay.
And, oh, right.
The guy saw you and said, are
you an actress? I said, yes. He said, what have you done? I said, oh, well, and I mentioned every role I'd ever seen in a play. And he said, but you're too young for those. I said, I play character parts. I'll play male parts. I do anything. He said, come to Fox. I want you to meet Jerry Wald. So I did, and Jerry Wald, I walked through the door, and he said, what's your name? And I said, Dyan Friesen. And he said, oh, I see explosiveness. I see dynamics. He said, I see dynamite, cannon. That's what I said. What do you mean, cannon? He said, that's what I'm going to call you, Dyan Cannon. I said, oh, okay, fine. Can you imagine?
Really?
My agreeing to that?
How old were you at that moment?
I was 17.
Good heavens.
16 or 17, because I remember that I was signed to go on a world tour, and I couldn't get into Egypt because I was part Jewish. And I was underage. That's why I remember the age, because I don't keep track of ages or times, but that's why I remember that. He was going to test me for a movie called Jean Harlow. There were other people. 2 movies came out about Jean Harlow at the same time, and I thought that was wonderful. And they tested me, and after they tested me, they said they weren't going to sign me, and I said, why? And they said, because your nose is too flat. I said, wait a minute. I thought you wanted to see if I was an actress or not.
Yeah.
I said, the acting's okay, but your nose is too flat. I said, oh, well, I can fix that. So I called my mother and father, Ben and Clara Friesen in Seattle, and I said, you know the money you were going to give me for a mink stole? Because the rage then were mink stoles.
Yeah.
And all the girls had them. I said, I want money for a nose job. They said, you want money for a what? I said, that's right. I went to a very famous plastic surgeon called Dr. Parks. He said, get out of my office. I said, why? He said, your nose, whatever shape you call it, is
Yeah.
part of what makes you different. Well, you know...
You have not had a nose job.
No,
today.
I've not had any job. And
Okay, or
I
job,
am
or
just
jobs.
nor jobs. That's right. And
Yeah.
I am proud to say that that surgeon taught me a tremendous lesson.
Right.
He taught me that what we are is what makes us all individual. And to try and look like somebody else because somebody says this or that.
Well, Diane, do you think you're beautiful?
Oh, gosh, I think that I must say that for the first time, the last couple of years, I like the way I look. Now, if
Yeah.
you think that's beautiful, that's nice.
Yeah.
But I like the way I am
Yeah.
now, and I like the way I look.
No, I understand that, yeah.
Whatever you may call that,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, that's being at peace with yourself, which is what most of us seek in our lives, and few seem to find. So that's what's really important.
Well, I took a lot of time off to work that out. That's been far more important to me than any movie or any career or anything.
But you're back in this business, of course, so you must find something rewarding in being an actress.
I love
Well,
it.
what is it that's most rewarding to you, that's important?
I like moving people. I like making people feel things. And I also think it's possible to make what I call healing movies. After I made Dyan Cannon's #1, which is the film that I wrote and produced and directed and scored, we showed it one night at the at some place in Los Angeles where there was a question and answer period afterwards, and this woman stood up in the audience and she said, that scene that you showed about a little boy being forced to eat by his parents has just triggered off something that happened in my childhood. And she said, I'm never going to have to do that again. I don't mean preachy films,
Yeah.
but I mean films that show enough of humanity so that the people watching them can connect with it.
Didn't marrying an institution such as you married, Cary Grant, set you back as an individual, though?
Well, it certainly didn't help me in the business.
Yeah.
Because if you're good looking, they think that's all you can do, and if you're married to Cary Grant, that they think that's all you can do.
Right, exactly.
And it didn't help, and that's why I understand Jane had a rough time too. I was with Jane Fonda when she was trying to get over the hump in the early years, and it was hard because her father was Henry.
Most people don't really believe that.
Yeah, but
you know?
it really is, because they just don't want to give you any credit.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Oh, well, she did it because she's pretty. Oh, well, she did it because she had a husband that was... I lost jobs because of that. Lost them.
Do you think about getting old with any trepidation, fear?
Well, I'm a practicer of metaphysics. And one of our main things in metaphysics is we don't believe in age. We don't believe in labels. And I think before metaphysics, I thought about it far more than I do now. It whacks me every now and then, as it does most people, but I can embrace it now because, honestly, it's the fullest, richest time of my life.
Right.
I have more to show now because I understand more. And I expect that that's going to go on and on and on and
Well,
on.
I think that's, I think that's the point. As Satchel Paige said when once asked how old he was, he said he really didn't know, but he said, he asked the guy who asked him the question, if you didn't know how old you were, how old would you think you were?
Yeah.
And I think
what
that's
a wonderful answer.
Isn't that great? And
That's the
how
best
old
I've
you
ever
are.
heard.
And that's how old you are.
There is no age.
So, with the ageless Dyan Cannon and Joe Averill,
Who is also ageless.
right. It's just a number. We'll be right back.